Spectres, welcome back to another fantastic week of the Mass Effect Lorecast, and we are coming to you actually live from the war-ravaged land of the port of Citadel. Jennasis, how are you doing?
Hoeing the line there, buddy. I am loving living in my not hellscape. Thank you very much.
Yeah, how was brunch today, by the way?
All the avocado toast I could eat.
Yeah, some light looting too. All right, that's enough for the commentary. Joining us today are two of our patrons, Magister Davida and Retrobot. Welcome in, guys. So today we are going to be talking about what jobs we would have in the Mass Effect universe, and we've got a little bit of a twist for it for this patron chat. We're each going to go through and say what job we ourselves would hold, but then we're going to go around and kind of put the other person in the hot seat where the rest of us will tell that person what jobs we think they would have. And so Jennasis and I can kind of save our answers for the end, I suppose, as always. But we can just jump right into it. Magister, Retrobot, do either of you prefer to go first?
Retro,
I can
for it.
First. I'm okay. I'm good. So I don't recall if I talked about this in the Discord or not, but real life, I'm a combat medic in the U.S. Army. So I feel like I'm just going to do the boring answer and say I'd still be a combat medic, but within the weird structure that is the Alliance military. I'd be a Marine or something, but I don't know. I think it'd be interesting because Metagel trivializes like a lot of stuff that I do at my job. But it'd be interesting to see what they have their medics doing. Because I believe wasn't it one of the like special classes you can pick in Mass Effect 1 after the moon base?
Yes, that's one of the specializations that you can pick. Was it for Sentinel? I forget exactly which class that specialization came up for. Do you remember, Jennasis?
Yeah, that feels right to me because I know that I have definitely picked it a time or two being a medic and being able to heal more, which playing on Insanity is a really good perk.
So Retrobot and I were discussing this in our DMs like a week or two ago, I want to say, about his special thoughts on Metagel. And so I want to give you the floor right now because with inside knowledge to combat medicine, you actually have quite the bone to pick with whoever it was that came up with Metagel.
Yeah, just because like overall it's kind of like too broad about how it explains its administration. Because I work with a lot of medications that have like very specific dosages. And you don't have like medications that do multiple functions. Like, yeah, you got your antibiotic, you have your analgesic, then you have all these other medications. But Metagel, on the other hand, is like, oh, it's an analgesic, it's also an antibiotic. But like that kind of messes with your like dosage wise depending on injury. Which is it's just bizarre. And then they also talk about how you can overdose on it apparently in the games, which is also interesting.
Right. I forget which. Yeah. Isn't there a squad mate that says that they're feeling a little bit woozy from too much Metagel?
Yeah, like I think it's Kane or something. Like they say something about some people have an adverse reaction to Metagel, which is also weird that you can be allergic to this like synthetic gel that has like micro bots or whatever in it.
Yeah. Jennasis, you had something you wanted to say?
So the one who has a bad reaction to it is actually Brooks in the Citadel DLC. She takes too many shots and it makes her jittery and all buzzy and things like that. And there are definitely people who are allergic to medications. So I could see if somebody could be allergic to Metagel because I'm allergic to certain medications. So
yeah,
who knows? Metagel might not work on me.
But I get where Retrobot's coming from this, especially because if you had like a grave wound, right, and let's say that you were separated by like 100 feet or so from the rest of your squad, you would think that if you lost enough blood, Metagel is not going to be like a solve-all for that. Like, you need a transfusion probably there in the field. Or at least, back at some kind of forward operating base that hopefully is close enough by. Because you can't just like use Metagel to seal the wound and, hey, you've lost like, I don't know, 8 liters of blood. I think you're going to be fine. You can walk it off, buddy.
Yeah, unless they're trying to argue it somehow also works as some futuristic extend or something, so it helps with blood volume or something. I don't know. Yeah,
Who
but
knows?
blood loss is very important with that.
Mass
but also,
effect
like
fields.
with how fast the wounds are, how fast like the projectiles are coming from the guns, you could argue that they're cauterizing themselves like after the person gets shot. So maybe there's not a whole blood loss isn't a major concern in the future, but who knows?
But if it was like a round or at least a slug, right? Because it's just a sheer slug off of a metal block that they're accelerating. If it was a large enough one propelled at that speed, you would think that it would just take off a limb if your shields were gone.
True. Yeah, that's big. Especially you'd have to really worry about cavitation in the wound. It's like because you have the initial entry from the like the bullet wound, but you have the secondary issue from the force from the actual projectile, so it causes like more area within the wound called cavitation. But I guess with those fast moving rounds, you won't have to worry about it ricocheting or bouncing around the body. It would be pretty clean through and throughs, which is a lot easier to take care of than it went in, it hit a bone, then it tumbled out like somewhere else.
Of course, that's not even counting all of the different kinds of ammunition that we know exist in the Mass Effect universe. Like in Mass Effect 1, you can get shredder rounds, you can get proton rounds, you can get all these different kinds of rounds that would have undoubtedly different effects on the body. So Metagel might not be able to solve like a polonium round, right?
Yeah.
So who knows? So Retrobot, getting back to the topic, says that he would be a combat medic, or at least the equivalent of that in the Mass Effect universe. Retrobot, does that mean that you would have kind of close coordination with someone like Chakwas? I'm kind of sharing my ignorance of how combat medics work in the military right now. I know that Chakwas is permanently stationed aboard a ship, but I don't know how that might, how you might work with someone like that in your job in real life.
Yeah, so that really would depend on what kind of unit you get placed with. So with my real job, I'm with an evac company. So I have a MO, medical officer, that oversees me. And it's basically through his permission that I'm able to do all my advanced skills. Because I'm a certified EMT, but my scope of practice is a lot larger because I have a medical officer who trusts me to do certain interventions. So I'm able to give a whole lot more medications and do advanced interventions like cricothyroidotomies and fasciotomies and stuff like that. So if I was in a situation like that and we were saying like Chakwas was my MO, then depending on how much Chakwas trusted me would be kind of the limit of extent of what I could do on the field compared to just stabilize the casualty and get them back to the ship as quick as possible.
All right. That is, you said a bunch of words that I don't know, and I'm not going to take up more of your time by asking you to walk me through basic medical terminology. But why don't we turn it over now for the rest of us to say what job that we think that Retrobot would do in the Mass Effect universe. Jennasis, do you have an answer?
I do. I think that I would just play a little bit off of that and say to take it a step further. Not only are you just a combat medic, but you are teaching the old medicine. So yeah, you are going to be out there training people on how to solve all of these wounds, how to treat people. If you run out of Metagel while you're out on a mission, I think that you could still be able to use your skills right now, but in the Mass Effect world and not be everybody is reliant on the cure-all.
Oh, so somewhat like an old-timey field surgeon with bone saws.
Yeah,
access,
that
if you will.
definitely is interesting because like we know they carry Medagel, but they never talk about upper medics if they're also carrying like tourniquets and chest seals and stuff like that for when like they don't have the Medagel. So that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know what? Someone listening to this might correct us and be like, actually, there is this point in the lore where they talk about tourniquets or blah, blah. And I encourage and welcome that. If you know something a little bit more than we know off the top of our heads right now, then please leave a comment. Magister, if you were going to assign a job to Retrobot in the Mass Effect universe, what would it be?
Thinking like Blue Suns mercenary.
Ooh, okay. All right. Nice. Retrobot, would you ever consider being a mercenary in the Mass Effect universe?
I mean, sure. I mean, it's not far out. I mean, there's a lot of guys who get out of the military and then go private because there's a whole lot of private companies out there who are hiring
Yeah, I
former
suppose it's
soldiers to go out.
not that different from being a PMC, right?
Yeah, then like maybe I can practice more of the medicine I know because maybe they can't easily get a hand of Medagel or whatever because they don't have like official reason to be having it or whatever.
Nice. All right. Well, I have been thinking about this and racking my brain, and I think in the Mass Effect universe, I think that you would get a job with, oh crap, I can't remember the name of the company off the top of my head that made Medagel. Certa Foundation? Is it Certa?
Sounds right. I can fact check.
Okay, so while you're fact checking, I'll just go ahead with my rationale here. So I think that you would get a job with Certa Foundation advising them on what the best techniques for medical applications are. And considering that in the lore they are a non-profit, I think you could probably do that and sleep pretty well at night. And I can imagine Certa Foundation would probably pay pretty well as well. Plus, you could...
It is, in fact, Certa Foundation.
Hey,
Good job.
nice. All right. I retain my job as co-host of the Mass Effect Lorecast one more week until those YouTube commenters have something to say about it. All right. Jennasis, why don't we jump over to you, actually? Because you told me in the pre-show chat that you did not want to do your IRL job in the Mass Effect universe.
This is true. My IRL job is accounting. And yes, Barlavon is pretty cool. I don't think that our personalities would work well together. And that's a really key part of working as an accountant. You have to get along with your coworkers because you can really only argue with them for personal things because the numbers are, in fact, the numbers and those can't be argued with. And I'm nowhere near Volus. That's not my character at all. But what I do think that I would excel at, and what my original plan was for when going to college, was therapy and psychology. So I think that I could actually really do some good work in the therapy sector, but specifically like assigned to a ship. So that way I have a limited crew that I'm working with. And just maintaining the mental health of these people. Because if anybody out there is doing even a fraction of what Shepard goes through, there's some major PSTD that needs to be worked through.
Yeah. So I was going to say, are you sure you wouldn't work with Shaira? Because she's kind of a therapist. She's like therapist, psychic, / sex worker. I was leaning into the first two rather than the latter.
And I mean, my other show where we talk all about video game romances would definitely lend into that being the style of work that I would do. But I think I kind of leaned more towards the Kelly Chambers aspect of it. Still a little flirty, still very, out there, but actually legitimately cared about the people that she was tasked to help manage their mental health with all the conversations about. Yeah.
Those Kelly Chamber episodes that we did now coming into view for me. All right, I like that. I like that one. All right, I'll go last here. Actually, I want to hear Magister, if Jennasis had a job in the Mass Effect universe, what do you think it would be?
I think she would be like Liara's dad, be a bartender.
Oh, Theta, nice. Yeah, I think that you hit the nail on the head with that one.
You know, oh, go for it.
I was about to say, I think you have a, especially with you saying that about the therapist, I think you have a good enough vibe to like be the person to listen to the people while they're down on their luck and be like, okay, well, maybe you should propose to the Volisk or whatever else from there. And I think that'd be a good fit for you.
Yeah. Or like telling someone off if they were getting a little bit confrontational at the bar. Listen here, sweet cheeks.
Matriarch
Get
Theta
lost.
is one of my all-time favorite side characters in the entire trilogy, and I absolutely love and adore that as being an option for of who I would become. Like, I mean, come on, she's an Asari, so there's that going for it. And then the Krogan aspect of it, that's also very me. The bartender who will listen to your problems and can make a damn good drink, and then legitimately and honestly cares about her daughter. Yeah. And has comments about Benezia's tits. So, you know, it's all wrapped up. That's a perfect job for me.
Could probably
becoming Matriarch Theta.
Theta could probably knock back her tequila pretty well. I can imagine.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, nice. Retrobot, what job do you think you would give Jennasis in the Mass Effect universe?
Yeah, I was going to say that I think she would be an XO on an Alliance vessel.
Okay, all right. So walk us through that one.
So I'd argue first off that she's basically the XO of this Mass Effect lore cast. But I also feel like she has good like administrative powers and she understands what has to be done when the commander's away.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that one.
That also very fits because it's not like my accounting brain goes, yes, I can formulate lists, make sure that tasks are delegated, and make sure that the people who are supposed to be doing what they are doing are actually doing their jobs and getting things done. I actually tend to be the mom of the party and making sure that everybody gets to where they need to go to by the end of the night and taking care of all the drunk friends. And I feel like, yeah, that definitely would fit as XO on a ship.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can see that for sure. Because the administrative powers, I've witnessed those firsthand. So I can definitely see you excelling in that role. Jennasis, I think that if you were in the Mass Effect universe, you would find a way to make yourself a underground crime boss and club owner.
Okay, let's play this one out here. Why?
Okay, so first of all, I'm referencing Arya. But second of all, because I think that you know how to communicate to people without using force. But if wanted, you can communicate with the thinly veiled implication of force behind it while still sounding tactful.
Okay.
And
I see your line of thought there.
And also the half Krogan part. So that's true. That's canon IRL. Jennasis is half Krogan.
Yes, it is true. And half Asari. I'll claim that as well. Okay. I see that now. Being able to get what needs to be done, no matter what it takes, with the threat of violence or just share, you owe me.
And no one fucks with who you love. That like that attitude of like, this is my clan, no one fucks with my clan.
Yeah. I do hold my clan very close.
Exactly.
Nobody touches them.
All right. Let that be a lesson to you all. Okay. And with that, why don't we go over to the mid break? And when we come back, I want to hear some more jobs.
We have beef, we have bacon, we have beer. The foods of my people.
Young men have funny ideas of what Asari are like. I blame the extranet and computer games.
Rex? Shepherd. Grunt? Shepherd. Rex? Grunt?
Here we are in the middle of the show where typically we read out your 5-star reviews. Although Jennasis, I don't think we have any new 5-star reviews today. I just checked on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and I didn't see any new comments. So if you have something that you'd like to say about the show, you can now comment on Spotify. We check those for the most recent episodes that have gone up, and you can leave a comment there. I've read out a couple of pretty funny ones in the past, and you can also, of course, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. But more than that, what helps the show more than that, if you enjoy it, is, as cliche as it sounds, just talking to a friend. If you know a friend that likes Mass Effect, or you want to introduce them to Mass Effect, one of us, then just bring up the Mass Effect Lorecast and be like, I heard this pretty cool lore fact on the Mass Effect Lorecast. Don't say it like that, because you might scare them away, but you get my point. Anyway, that is all I have for the middle of the show. Of course, thank you to our patrons. Jennasis, I always do the tier 5 shout outs. Do you want to do them today? I'm putting you on the spot.
You'd ask me to do it right now.
I'm like, hey, do you want to bring up Patreon right now and read it out? You can't.
I absolutely can. Because our patrons are amazing, and I always love to shout them out. So, of course, butts, unfortunate benefactor, William, Superfly440, Retrobot, Lieutenant Tessino, Kira C, and Ed Boy. Big hearts, major loves, all the thank yous.
And we do have one new patron, John Eddy. Thank you for signing up and supporting the show as well. And with that, let's get back to the second half of the show.
After time adrift among open stars, along tides of light and through shoals of dust, I will return to where I began.
Solarian reproduction different, very little sex drive. If intended to try human, would try you. Ow, my pancreas.
And here we are in the second half of the show. Magister, I have a job that I would assign you in my head, but first I want to hear what job you would take in the Mass Effect universe.
A job I would love to take, but probably wouldn't more likely get because it's always a chance, would be to be an actor in the Mass Effect universe. And I think it would be very interesting to try to be a human who's acting with the Elcor doing Hamlet for those extended amount of time for long periods. Go be on the stage. I feel like there'll be beds in the green room just to sleep through and have a great time there. So that's what I would love to do. Have a little to be or not to be. What would more likely actually be the fact, though, is especially what I do for a living, is I would probably be a corporate slave on one of the colony planets, moving boxes somewhere for a living for any number of companies on places like the Vernon Skits or whatever the places are called out there, Eden Prime, Terra Nova, all that fun stuff.
So, you could always play that off as, well, I'm getting to have an adventure. I get to see a different world, even if I am still a corporate slave. So maybe you'd be working for like Eldfell Ashland Energy Corporation, right? Jennasis, you were holding up a notebook while Magister was saying this. Well, I couldn't make out what it said on the notebook. What did it say?
So this was the notes that I was taking while we were talking pre-show, and the idea of picking jobs for other people came up. And I wrote down here, Magister, the only human in the all Elcor production of Hamlet. So the fact that that was your answer for yourself and I wrote that down as what I would pick for you, I got you.
That would take some supreme patience to be able to just stand there and wait for the rest of your Elcor cast to finish their lines. God, can you imagine?
I'd be more concerned about like missing my cue accidentally, being like, okay, where are we at in the script? Oh, we're still there? Okay, I can go grab a burger real quick and then come back and it's like, oh, you missed your scene. What?
Yeah, God forbid there was an Elcor King Lear. Ugh. Yeah. All right. So I like that you gave us the kind of desirable job versus the realistic one of what you think you would do in the Mass Effect universe. Retrobot, if you were going to give Magister a job in the MEU, what would it be?
Yeah, I think Magister would be a writer for Cerberus Daily News Network.
Ooh, okay. All right. So I think I see where you're going with that. Magister, how do you feel about that?
That would be fun.
All right.
I'd be concerned about the gun behind my head, making sure I don't do anything inappropriate or write anything that they would not want me to do. But I think that'd be probably a good time.
That's
getting
okay.
that news out there.
I don't think Disney owns news in the future, but the elusive man, I can certainly see saying, you know, I read that last article and it wasn't in line with my priorities as executive of this branch, and so I need to see you in my office. No, it's okay. You can leave your stuff there. You won't need it.
Exactly. You would
Gary.
literally be fired.
Out of a cannon toward that sun behind him. Yeah. All right. That's awesome. Jennasis, what job would you give Magister?
Well, I mean, other than the fact that I already cast him in Hamlet along the Elcor, I think writing for the Blasto TV series. I think that you would have so much fun with that.
That was my answer. I was gonna say that he would be a director or a writer for the Blasto TV series. That's great.
Tagline: Big stupid jellyfish fights back.
Yes. All right. Well, now I have to come up with one off the top of my head, but I think I already have one. Yes, that one would work. So I can actually see Magister as being a professor of sorts in the Mass Effect universe, or a teacher. And I can see you being someone who wanted to mentor the youth, perhaps on the Grissom Academy. And kind of like teaching them what you've learned, as well as just kind of working to build a better future, not for humanity. I'm not going to say that. That's a Cerberus thing. But building a better future for everyone in the Milky Way. Maybe something like the Grissom Academy, but on the Citadel, because I feel like you would definitely want to be in the heart of the galactic community. Like, you would want to be not just surrounded by humans, but like aliens as well.
I've always wanted to go into pedagogy before things got a little crazy. So yeah, that definitely would fit.
So for those of us who don't know what pedagogy means, can you help explain, you know, when you say that you wanted to go into pedagogy, what does that mean? What did you envision?
Yeah, I wanted to go into get my master's degree in acting pedagogy. So basically, it was that's kind of a pre-requirement to being a college professor that taught acting and different theater skills to people. So that was one of the tracks that I was looking to going towards. But that particular type of degree wants you to have like years of experience on stage and off stage and things like that. So never quite got around to it, and especially with COVID and everything else hitting, it was took a little stage left on that one. But that's what that more so is going toward.
So that degree sounds like, even COVID notwithstanding, years of acting. I know, because my older brother was an actor. That would require a lot of self-sacrifice, if not self-punishment, to endure that kind of what you need to do in order to get that degree. So,
absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that brings us to me. And of course, I've talked about it on the show multiple times. What I do for a living. I'm a trained journalist, not practicing at the moment, still looking for another job. But I think, honestly, in the Mass Effect universe, I would probably still be a journalist, a la Emily Wong. Hopefully, never Kalisa Binsinen Al-Jilani, because she is a sensationalist, although does not deserve to be punched, because that's what bullies do. Bullies use their fists, especially if you are a trained super soldier and your fists are deadly weapons. That should be considered not just assault, but you should probably get stripped of your rank. So yeah, I would think that I would be an investigative reporter, ideally on the Citadel, or I'll give it this little twist. On the Citadel, but if I had a family, or if I didn't have a family, or if I didn't really have like kind of anyone who cared about me, so to speak, then I would probably embed myself somewhere in the Terminus systems and send dispatches back to Citadel space under a pseudonym to protect myself.
Yeah. No, we've definitely talked about that, and especially, and in the pre-show also, I was like, you are very Emily Wong. That is what you are born to do. It is what you are destined to do in the Mass Effect universe. And you would bring the, the Cerberus side of it, where they are very geared to making Cerberus look good. You would actually be bringing the truth of it, of yes, these things are happening, but there is also this side of it. Because we love reading the Cerberus Daily News, but we also know that it is tainted and it's not the whole truth. And I would love the N7 Daily News, getting those out there.
Well, since I'm looking for a job, maybe I should just start that, N7 Daily News, and then just make up news dispatches from the Mass Effect universe. I mean, I already have the Alliance News Network background that I could do on my little stream deck here. I used to do that on stream. For those of you who don't know, it was a stream redemption where someone would cash in channel points and give me a prompt, and I would just have to come up with a short 30-second newscast script based off of that prompt. And I want to say that like a lot of them were totally not safe for work. So you can look them up on the clips on my Twitch channel. But thank you, Genesis. Magister, what do you think that I would do in the Mass Effect universe?
Apologies for the cop-out, but it was the first thing that came to my head, especially after you said it as well, would actually be a professor as well, especially since you are the podcaster of the Mass Effect, for Mass Effect. I think you would probably go down Liara's vein and try to study more about the universe itself and those who came before, as well as going over the conflict between the different races, the Rachni Wars, all that. I think you would have a very interesting time publishing articles as well as deep diving into the actual mythology, lore, and history of the universe.
That would be extremely intriguing. Maybe I could get a job with the History Channel or whatever it is on the extranet then. I actually own a few blazers with elbow patches and they're tweed, so I think Professor might be spot on there, although I've never worn them here on the Lorecast. Yeah, that would be fun. I would like that, and I've often talked about, when I'm done practicing journalism at some point in the future, when I've retired, I'd like to be a professor or a teacher, continue working in that regard, because I don't know if I could ever really sit back and just waste away. So awesome. All right, Retrobot, what job would you give me in the Mass Effect universe?
So I would say that Commander Shepard's cameo on Blasto went so popular that it started a new TV show that's The Adventures of Commander Shepard. I'd say you're the actor who plays Commander Shepard, trying to take down Sluggert or whatever. Yeah.
Hey, now I'll take that. That'd be fun. I haven't done a lot of acting, but I did do some acting in high school. I was Giles Corey in The Crucible, so that was fun. more weight. I got to be sarcastic. It was great. But yeah, that would be fun. I'd love to do screen acting. Well, I guess Jennasis, both you and I did a little bit of voice acting for the Avengers audio drama.
Mm-hmm. Yep. No, I've been voice acting for a while now. I've gotten a few recordings out there in the universe. So yeah, no, and I think you could do good at it too, because you have the ability to embody a character very quickly. Your voice impressions come off the top of a hat and you can just go into the character so quickly. So I think that you could pull off, especially for Shepard, because it's a character that you know so well, you could definitely play Bro Shep.
Yeah, a lot of that
I think you might struggle with Fem Shep.
A lot of that is my crippling red sand addiction. If you see me doing desk bumps over here, that's what that is. But yeah, well, all right, that'd be really fun being a screen actor playing Shepard. Although now I'm starting to wonder whether or not that was the most polite and indirect way to call me Conrad Werner. Wouldn't be the first time that I've been likened to Conrad, but this is my soapbox that I'll stand on, that there are not enough blonde men in Mass Effect. Think of as many blonde men as you can think of, and I'll give you $1 if it's not Conrad and it's not that one CSEC officer who loves Shepard that you run into in the wards in Mass Effect 1.
But do you know that that's actually canon lore about the fact that blondes no longer exist? And so seeing a natural blonde is actually very rare and is notable because of that. Because the homogenization of all the humans back on Earth, that brown hair has become more dominant. And the fact that Kaylee Sanders is a natural blonde is also striking. And she comments on that about how she is a dying breed of natural blonde.
There we go. I'm a dying breed. I knew there was something special. All right. Well, we'll end on that note with a special lore bit. That's really cool. Was that in Mass Effect Ascension?
It was.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because you were saying that, and I'm like, no, I remember hearing this. I don't remember where hearing this. Okay, must be Ascension if she brought up Kaylee. Well, I guess that's all we have for this week. I really enjoyed this roundtable discussion of jobs in the Mass Effect universe, and I'd love to hear from some of our listeners if their jobs that they do IRL are actually even existent in the Mass Effect universe. Like, a lot of truckers listen to this show. You know, is space trucking a thing? I suppose it is, right? Because you get those civilian cargo vessels like the MSV Kowloon. So yeah, maybe that job would also exist there. Would you even want that job? You know, would you be okay being away from your family for that long? Maybe you don't like your family. Maybe you like that. I don't know. But as long as it pays well, right? If you're going to incur the risk of space pirates and Batarians and whatnot. But yeah, let us know in the comments if your job exists in the Mass Effect universe and if you'd even want that job in the Mass Effect universe or which job you'd want. But this has been really fun. Magister, Retrobot, thank you both for, of course, supporting the show and for tonight for a really fun discussion.
Guys, have anything that you want to shout out or plug? Magister? Anything to shout out or plug?
Nothing at this current time, no. But it's always a pleasure to come on with the Mass Effect crew and talk about the latest news and, or rather listen about the latest news and having our random discussions. So thank you for having me.
Awesome. Retrobot?
Yeah, I'm just Retrobot on the Discord if you want to talk about Mass Effect, or if you're interested in combat medicine, I could talk a bit more about that. I did post a chain of command chart that I made for Mass Effect, trying to understand the weird kind of layout of the Alliance military. That's in the Discord, or you can just hit me up if you want a copy of it. But otherwise, I'm just busy at work, yeah.
All right, awesome. And that reminds me of an episode of the Mass Effect Lorecast that I'm kind of working on behind the scenes. I was hoping to get this together before Armistice Day, that we could get a bunch of veterans or active service members, doesn't have to be active duty, but active service members and veterans, to do kind of a roundtable, because I've noticed something about the Mass Effect fandom, and it's that there are a lot of service members who like this game. So kind of getting together and trying to drill into why that might be and examine some of the themes that resonate or don't resonate with those of us who have served in the military. So, all right, with that, I think that's all we got until next week, Spectres, when we pick back up on Paul Grayson's story in Mass Effect Retribution. Jennasis, do you have anything that you'd like to shout out or plug before we go?
Yeah, if you're in the Portland area and are here in mid-October, I am doing a panel at the Portland Retro Gaming Expo, so I would love to see anybody out there. Go ahead and send me any questions over Discord if you are able to attend. If not, you can catch me on my 2 other shows, the Two Girls, One Ship podcast and the Cyberpunk Lorecast.
Wow, they're still moving forward with the gaming expo. I heard that there was a war going on in Portland, so surprised about that.
Yes, all things are still planned as normal.
All right. Well, I will perhaps be there at that exact gaming expo, but we will see because that is dependent on a number of personal life factors. I am planning to start resuming streaming very soon, and they will be late night streams. So if you're a night owl like me, might want to go by my Twitch channel, N7 Legend. Give me a follow. I'm working on a consistent schedule, and I will let everyone know what that is on my Blue Sky account. If I have a social media, it's at N7 Legend. Until next time, Spectres, we should go.